My name is Sarah Donovan. I'm 34 years old. My son Marcus turned 8 in August. He has brown eyes that go very serious when he's thinking and very bright when he's laughing, and there is almost nothing in between. He doesn't do things halfway. When he builds Lego cities on the living room floor, he plans them first on paper. Roads, zones, utilities. He always puts the hospital in the center. Because, he told me once, the hospital should be easy to find. He has been the center of my life since the night he was born, in a hospital room where it was just the two of us, which is how it has been ever since. His father left when Marcus was 14 months old. Not dramatically. Not with a fight that I could point to and explain. He just became someone who was present less and less, until one day he wasn't present at all. There were legal proceedings. There is a document. Marcus has a last name that is both of ours and a life that is entirely ours, mine and his. I made a decision early on, and I have held to it. I would not make Marcus carry the weight of that story before he was ready for it. I would answer every question he asked, honestly and at his level, and I would not volunteer the parts that weren't mine to give him yet. He knew he had a father. He knew his father didn't live with us. He knew he was loved by me completely and without condition. He had never seemed to need more than that. He had never come home looking the way he looked that Tuesday in October. I was in the kitchen when he came in. Backpack still on, shoes still on, which never happens. Marcus is particular about shoes at the door. And he sat down at the kitchen table with the careful, deliberate movement of someone who has been holding something for a long time and is finally putting it down. I turned around from the counter. His face was doing something I hadn't seen before. Not crying, not angry. Something older than either of those things. Something that looked like he had been told a fact about himself that he hadn't consented to knowing yet. "Mom," he said. "Mrs. Hartley told the whole class I don't have a dad." I put down what I was holding. I pulled out the chair across from him and sat down. "Tell me exactly what happened," I said. "From the beginning," he told me. They had been doing a family unit, a worksheet. Draw your family, label the people, write one sentence about each person. Standard second grade material, the kind of thing that sounds simple and isn't. Marcus had drawn me. He had drawn himself. He had drawn our dog, Pepper, and his grandmother, my mother, who lives 20 minutes away and comes for dinner every Thursday. Mrs. Hartley had walked around the room looking at the drawings. She stopped at Marcus's desk. "Where's your dad?" she said. Marcus told her his dad didn't live with them. Mrs. Hartley said, in front of the entire class, 22 children, all of them listening, "Oh, so you don't have a dad at home. That must be hard." Several children had turned to look at him. One boy, Tyler, said, "You don't have a dad?" Mrs. Hartley had moved on to the next desk without saying anything further. Marcus sat at the kitchen table and told me this in the same careful, measured way he had been telling me things since he was old enough to form sentences, front to back, detail by detail, watching my face to see how I was taking it. When he finished, he was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "Mom, why did she say that in front of everyone?" I looked at him. "She shouldn't have," I said. "That was private information, and it wasn't hers to share. Tyler asked me about it at lunch," he said, "and at recess. He kept asking, 'What did you tell him?' I said, 'It's complicated.'" A pause. "Is it complicated?" I reached across the table and put my hand over his. "Some parts of it are," I said, "but the most important part is simple. Our family is you and me, and there is nothing missing from it. You are not missing anything." He looked at his hands. "I know," he said. "But now everyone knows." I held that sentence for a long time after he went to his room. Now everyone knows. He hadn't been ashamed of his family before Tuesday. He had simply had his family, present, sufficient, his. Mrs. Hartley had not taken anything from him that could be taken back. She had handed him a label in front of 22 witnesses, and now the label existed in his world in a way it hadn't before. I opened a new note on my phone. I wrote, Tuesday, October 14th, Mrs. Hartley, Room 7, 2nd grade. Family unit worksheet, comment made in front of class. You don't have a dad at home. That must be hard. Multiple students turned to look. Subject continued through recess. Marcus came home visibly affected. I started a folder. I named it School. Then I called the school. The receptionist was polite. The principal, a man named Mr. Graves, was available Thursday. I made the appointment, and I spent the 2 days between then and the meeting doing what I do when I need to be prepared. I researched. I read the district's policy on family diversity and inclusive curriculum. I found the language about non-traditional family structures and the explicit guidance that teachers should avoid singling out students based on family composition. I printed it. I highlighted the relevant sections. I added it to the folder. I also wrote down every question I planned to ask in the order I planned to ask them. Not accusations, questions. I had learned a long time ago that questions are harder to dismiss than statements. I brought Marcus's drawing to the meeting. His family. Me, him, Pepper, my mother. 4 people and a dog, labeled carefully in his handwriting. Mr. Graves was a careful man. He had the particular careful quality of administrators who have learned that most parent meetings require management rather than resolution. He thanked me for coming in. He said he was sure there had been a misunderstanding. He said Mrs. Hartley was an excellent teacher with 12 years of experience. I let him finish. Then I put the folder on the desk. I said, I'm not here to question Mrs. Hartley's overall record. I'm here because my 8-year-old son came home from school and told me that his teacher announced in front of his entire class that he doesn't have a dad, and characterized that fact as something that must be hard, and then moved on without addressing the response it created among the other students. I want to understand how that is consistent with this. I put the highlighted policy document in front of him. He read it. He looked up. I said, I also want to understand what the school intends to do to address the impact on my son, who spent the rest of that day, and the day after, fielding questions from a classmate about why he doesn't have a father. Mr. Graves said he would speak with Mrs. Hartley. I said, I'd like to know what that conversation will include and what the outcome will be, in writing, if possible. He looked at the folder again. He said, I can have something to you by end of week. I said, I appreciate that. I also want to be clear that I'm not looking for punishment. I'm looking for acknowledgement that this happened and a commitment that it won't happen again, to Marcus or to any other child in a non-traditional family situation. He nodded. Then I said, and I'd like Marcus to have a conversation with the school counselor. Not because something is wrong with him, because something was done to him, and he deserves support in processing it. End of week, Mr. Graves sent a written summary. It confirmed that he had met with Mrs. Hartley. It confirmed that she had acknowledged the comment and that she understood it had been inappropriate given district policy. It included a commitment to a professional development review of family inclusion guidelines for the full 2nd grade team. It confirmed that Marcus had been scheduled for 2 sessions with the school counselor. It did not include an apology from Mrs. Hartley directly. I noted that. I added the summary to the folder. 3 weeks later, Marcus came home and told me something without being asked. We were at the kitchen table again. He was doing homework. I was making dinner. He said, without looking up from his worksheet, Mrs. Hartley did the family unit differently today. I said, how so? She said families come in all different shapes. She said some kids have 2 moms or 2 dads. Some have 1 parent. Some live with grandparents. She said all of those are real families. He kept writing. She looked at me when she said it, he said, but in a nice way, not like before. I turned back to the stove. I didn't say anything for a moment. Then I said, "How did that feel?" He thought about it. "Okay," he said, "like she fixed something." I stood there with a wooden spoon in my hand, and I thought about a Tuesday in October, a boy with his shoes still on, sitting at this table with something old in his face. She fixed something. That's not everything. It doesn't undo the moment in front of 22 children, the questions at lunch, the look on his face when he came home. Those things happened, and they are in the folder, and they are in my memory, and they are in some small, permanent way in his. But she fixed something, and he knew it, and he told me. He went back to his worksheet. I went back to dinner. Some evenings that's enough. The folder is still on my phone. I haven't deleted it. I don't know if I will. But Marcus put the hospital back in the center of his Lego city last weekend. Roads, zones, utilities, everything in its right place. He showed me the plan before he started building. "So it's easy to find," he said. "I know," I said. He nodded, satisfied, and got to work. If this story stayed with you, please hit that like button and subscribe to Tender Heart Stories. Drop your location in the comments. USA, UK, Canada, Australia, wherever you're watching from. I read every single one. And tell me, did I go too far or not far enough? See you in the next one.